What's up, amazing people? We are back once again with another video, and this time we are reviewing the fastest selling original PS4 IP ever, Ghost of Tsushima. Sucker Punch managed to sell over 2.4 million copies of it in just 72 hours. Major kudos, and without any further ado, let's dive right into it. So right off the bat, we knew what to expect from this game based on the announcement trailer a couple of years back. This is the role-playing samurai game, finally, that we have been waiting for such a long amount of time. And yes, there are some people out there who is calling this game the Samurai's Assassin's Creed, but we believe that doesn't do proper justice to this game. Yes, there are some similarities here and there, but this game is completely original and unique in its own way. In fact, it does some of the things better than so many games that going forward we believe many of the in-game mechanics, the navigation, the exploring are going to get changed only because of this game and how incredibly brilliant the craftsmanship of those elements that went into this game. So now let's have a look at all of the things that we loved the most about this game, and then we will be talking about some of the other elements that we were not a big fan of. So the first and the most amazing thing about this game that we felt, it's the gameplay. This game is absolutely going to consume you for weeks. Once you get into this game, once you get more into the story, the gameplay will keep you engaged and involved throughout. The maximum that we played this game at a stretch is somewhere around 10 to 12 hours, and taking a bit of a rest, we jumped right into it back again. This game has some really unique attributes to it. In terms of combats and battle mechanics, this is probably the most perfect blend of challenging and at the same time doable. You don't really have to rage quit or break your controller over it, and it also provides you with certain amount of gratification when you finish it the way you want it to finish. The navigation and exploration is probably and arguably the best that we have seen in any game so far. Yes, it's actually that much revolutionary. It makes gameplay and finding out resources and finding out other hidden artifacts and other elements you need to find inside this game so easy, so organic, that you do not need to provide an extra amount of effort or go through Google and YouTube to find out where those locations are based. So inside this game, the immersion is pretty good, as you probably would have expected from all the gameplay trailers and other sneak peeks that were happening, and all of them were pretty accurate. That does complete justice to this game, and all in all the gameplay is a complete 10 out of 10. So the second and probably the most obvious mention-worthy strength of this game are the visuals and the graphics. My goodness, this game has some of the most breathtaking graphical inputs when it comes to the environment, when it comes to the ambience, and everything inside this game is just scintillating. Sometimes you just have to put your controller down and look at all the incredible environmental elements that this game has in it. The amount of detail Sucker Punch actually put into this game and making up this whole island of Tsushima, it's just brilliant. It's just amazing, and it's just incredible to look at. And the photo mode of this game completely complements all of those amazing visuals. This game arguably has the best photo mode that we have seen in any of the games so far, at least this year. So what the photo mode does really well, it understands how beautiful this game is and how gamers would like to capture those moments, be it exploring, be it in combat, be it just sightseeing. You can capture those moments, put animated elements to it, which sort of gives a whole different level to it. And all in all, the visuals and the photo mode makes this game a whole different experience by itself. This is something that we haven't seen in, let's say, in any of the games actually. So the last and arguably the best part about this game are the side missions. This game probably has the best side missions after Witcher 3. And the side quests are so good, they're so incredibly crafted that they don't really feel like side quests. They actually feel a deeply embedded part of the main story progression, and there are no side missions in this game that you feel like skipping or that you feel like doesn't add to the main story or just there to be a filler. The side quest has different meanings to it, has certain tie-ups with the main story progressions, has tie-ups with the different characters inside the game, and those side missions really make this game a complete experience. The open world element really gets alive with all those side missions, and this is probably the most platinumable game that you are ever going to play. The side quest that you have to finish in order to get that 100% completion is something that feels like you just have to do. It comes so naturally. Probably that is why everyone at Give Me 5 got the platinum trophy at the first playthrough. We didn't even have to play it the second time around. And the game doesn't have a new game plus options. So that also makes it even more meaningful to make those side quests and getting those resources and getting those trophies more easier and more convenient for the players. So now to have a look at the other side of the coin and talk about some of the negatives about this game, starting off with the main story. So as good as the side quests are in this game, the main story leaves a lot to be desired. The game sometimes feel a little bit rushed. The cinematics and the cutscenes starts and ends pretty abruptly. It doesn't really let you feel the gravity of certain moments where major plot points take place, where you probably should give the gamers a little bit of time to take everything in rather than just jumping right into combat or just jumping right into the next phase of the story without giving a certain amount of pause, without giving a certain amount of delay. That would have given this game a bit more completion, and overall the story is also pretty short for an open world game. If the side missions weren't as good as they are, probably this game would have not felt so good or as good as it actually did. So if the story and the main progression of this game would even be half as good as the side quests are, then probably this game would actually be a pretty strong contender for the game of the year. For many people it still is, undoubtedly, but for us the main story progression takes a major hit and takes some much needed creds out of this game. Next up, it's the graphical inconsistency in the game. So this is so ironic to talk about, as we have mentioned that this game is absolutely incredible to look at visually, but the graphical inconsistency is something that really took us by surprise. Just like the main story was not as good as the side quests inside this game, some of the graphical elements when it comes to the NPCs, the cinematics, those in-game graphics are not as good as the other environmental elements, to say the least. Often there is absolutely no expression in the faces of the NPCs. They seem like characters from 2010 games, and they don't really feel or seem as good as the other graphical elements inside this game, which is actually pretty weird. The only explanation that we could have given for this is Sucker Punch invested so much time and effort in building up the whole environment of the island of Tsushima that they really forgot to put some effort into the NPCs as well. And this is something that takes again a little bit of credit out of this game, where this one of the major strengths being the visuals of this game, you expect it to be maintained throughout. Unfortunately that was not the case, and these are some ironical points for this game which could have made it an absolutely perfect of a masterpiece. So the last and the final major complaint about Ghost of Tsushima, it's the main antagonist of the game, Khotun Khan. So this big bad was established as one of those brute characters inside this game who really intimidates, who is really strong build and feels very difficult to beat in a combat. But inside the game, he was not utilized as much as we would have liked. He was not as difficult in combat. As far as screen time goes, he was given very little, and his story was not as captivating as some of the other characters' stories. His motive was pretty one-dimensional, and in terms of plot twists or scheming the entire invasion, we didn't really get as much as we would have liked from the main antagonist of this game. And both from the trailers and initial gameplay in the earlier chapters, he was being established as one of those characters that knows what he's doing, that is very clever and witty. But all of those build-up didn't really give it promise. So this is one final trick that we felt Sucker Punch missed. The main villain of the game could have been made a lot more better, and to be honest, it really should have been better. So as a final verdict, Ghost of Tsushima definitely lives up to all the hype and definitely is worth your money as well. This game has some rough edges, but at the same time, it's so game-changing of a video game that it's going to shape a lot of games coming in the future in terms of how a studio can make a video game really convenient for the players and not making it unnecessarily difficult where it doesn't really have to be. So as probably the last PS4 exclusive to come out, we give Ghost of Tsushima an outstanding 8 out of 10. So guys, have you played Ghost of Tsushima or are you looking forward to playing it? Let us know in the comment section below. And if you liked our video and want to see more videos like this, a sub would do us a world of good. This is Azim signing off. Stay amazing and gather up those XPs.